Now, to begin telling the story, you start with the unit sale. What is it that your customers are buying from you? Now, to look at this, to explain this, I have a bunch of different industries listed out. It starts out with auto manufacturing. Some of these seem rather obvious, right? If you're an auto manufacturer, the unit that you're building, the unit that most customers are buying is one car. Yes, there might be fleet sales, there may be rental car companies and whatnot that are buying large numbers of cars, but most of your customers are walking in the door asking to buy one car. Now, in the airline industry, it looks a little more complicated, right? There's airplanes flying all around, and you can fly from one city to another, and as you fly from one city to another, you may in fact take multiple flights. You may change planes, but the unit sale, the unit that you're buying from the airline is one round trip flight. Right? You go from city A to city B, and then you go back from city B to city A. That's the normal, most common process purchased at an airline. At Google, they do everything by the search. So remember, at Google, the product is us doing the searches, and the customers are the advertisers. And what the advertisers buy is access to the results from one search. Not 10 searches, not a week's worth of searches, not a month's worth of searches, not a bundle of searches, one search. If you're a publisher, magazine, or newspaper, then yes, you might sell a copy. A small percentage of your sales might be from the newsstands, one copy at a time. But the bulk of your purchases, the bulk of your customers are buying a subscription to your publication, and they're getting 12 or 24 or 52 or 365 copies, 365 issues of your publication, right? The unit sale for a publisher, in this case, is a subscription. In terms of a grocery store or retailer or online or offline retailer, it's not the products that you put in your cart. It is the cart, it's everything in the cart. It's not the cart itself, because you're not buying the cart, but all the items within the cart. And the nomenclature for that is shopping cart, right? What's the average shopping cart at your grocery store? How many items are in there? And really what's most important, what's the dollar value on average of the items that are in the cart? And lastly, going back online one more time, at eBay, the unit sale is the auction, right? So it's an auction site. And it's not about how many people are bidding, and it's not about how many sellers there are. Really, they make money whenever there's an auction, and therefore that's the unit sale. Okay, next up, now that we know what the unit is, the next question is, what goes into the unit? What does it cost the company to sell one more unit? And again, this is best described in a bunch of examples. Let's look at the same industries one more time. So at a car manufacturer, it's really simple again. It's the parts and the labor that go into making that car. And in an airline, it's way more complicated, right? The airplane is going to fly from city A to city B and back again, whether you buy the seat or not. But they know how much the plane costs and how long it lasts. They know how much the staff costs. They know how much the fuel costs. And so they can kind of make an average cost of what it costs them to fly a person from one city to another and back again. At Google, it's a little different. At Google, yes, they have a huge number of servers, and those servers do the search. But the cost of one more search is basically zero. It's a negligible amount, right? It's so small they couldn't count it. So their cost of sales, well, it's really zero. Over in the publication side, well, they gotta have staff of writers, but they have a staff of writers no matter whether they sell one magazine or a million magazines. They have printing costs, they have delivery costs, there's items in the production of the magazines that are per magazine. Right? One more subscriber means they need more postage or they need another delivery person. In the grocery store, what are the items cost that are sitting in the cart? And then they do have some fixed costs. You can think of the people who put the items on the shelf and the people who are there at the checkout counter. You know, those are kind of fixed costs. It doesn't matter, again, whether there's one customer that day or 10,000 customers that day. But once the company is up and running, they know what those costs are and they know about how many customers they serve. And you could split out those costs by that average number of customers and say that, yes, to serve one more customer, it costs us X dollars. And then lastly, again, on eBay, They know how much it costs them to get a seller to come on the service, and they know how much on average, how many auctions on average each seller puts up. And therefore they could take that cost of acquisition of a customer acquisition cost, divide it by the average number of auctions, and say that's really the cost of goods or the cost of sales in order to have one more auction. As you can see, it gets kind of complicated. And so how does it work in your business? What is your cost of sales? Okay, now that you know what your unit is and your cost of sales, the last thing you need to know is how many units on average do your customers buy, and how much on average do they pay you for those units. Now, you may have different bundles, you may have small, medium, and large, you may have a high price and low price. Put all that aside for now. Just on average, right? How many units will your customers buy? Are you going to be like a car company, or are you going to be like a magazine company? And what order of magnitude are they paying you? So don't fret over whether it's $14.99 or $17.49 or $1.99 yet. What range is it in? Is it dollars or tens of dollars or thousands of dollars? So again, let's look back at these same examples again. So auto manufacturer. They sell one car and it's tens of thousands of dollars. And an airline, their customers, they know have X trips per year, right? How many trips per year? It's probably more than one. It's probably less than 5, right? And they know that on average, those trips are hundreds of dollars, not thousands, not tens of thousands, not single digit dollars. At Google, their advertisers are buying a number of searches. They're not buying one search. They're buying 1,000 or 10,000 or 100,000 or 1,000,000 searches. And on average, they're spending tens of cents per search. In a magazine, generally their subscribers are buying one subscription. They love it when you buy 2 or 3, but generally it's one subscription and it's $10, $20, somewhere in that range. At a grocery store, how many times does a customer walk in per week? One reason why they have loyalty cards is to track these things. And then what is the average shopping cart size? Is that $20, $40, $80, $100? Right? It varies from grocery store to grocery store. And lastly, on eBay, well, eBay knows how many auctions on average each seller puts up, and they make a tiny percentage on each auction, which means they make a single-digit number of dollars per auction. So again, go back to your plan. Where do you fall in this? What is the average number of units you're going to sell, and what is the average price per units for your company?